Hello everybody, it's James Thompson again with Gear Jammin Classics, and today we've got another shop talk for you, and hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to hit subscribe and give us a like if you like what you see. Appreciate it. That's kind of an I guess a question that would have a lot to do with the car and the quality of the restoration that was done in the beginning. As far as maintenance, all of your cars need a certain amount of maintenance and typically have manufacturer recommendations on schedules for maintenance and stuff like that. Now, obviously, these cars were of an era, all the classic cars were of an era that things were a lot different. They typically weren't, the classic cars were never going to really see 200,000 and 300,000 miles, in their lifetime normally without being rebuilt or heavy maintenance and work being done on them to get them to last that long, being used all the time. Like your current new modern vehicles, they're engineered, designed, tolerances are tighter, engines last longer because of those tight tolerances. You don't get as much slap and wear. So the maintenance schedules are a little different. On the newer cars than the older cars. The older cars require, I would think, probably a lot more attention, just simply because they're an older engineering package, and their typical lifespan back in the day was, 100,000 miles. If you got a car that was 100,000 miles, 10 years old, it was pretty much had used its life up in a daily use environment. Okay, it was ready to be retired. It was not going to be very reliable anymore. It would burn oil. It would, gas mileage. It would need everything by that length of time, and certainly by the, even if you, were conservative on your mileage back then. And the car made it to 10 years old, and still by that time it had the 100,000. It still needed everything. Because everything wore out pretty much. The only reason some of these classics have survived is either they got tucked away, or there was a family story behind it that kept the car from being used and abused. Unfortunately, a lot of these cars, I remember like it was yesterday. We used to go to the salvage yard to find our parts for our Mustangs and stuff, because nobody was building the aftermarket stuff. So there would just be stacks and stacks of vintage Mustangs and Fairlanes and Torinos and just, which would horrify anybody nowadays, Camaro, Chevelles, they were just stacked and piled like scrap, and that was because they just recycled the cars. They, 100,000 miles, 10 years, they were ready for the junkyard. So that's why it's kind of really rare and cool to find some of these classic cars, especially when you find one that was maybe tucked away and it's still in its original state. For whatever reason, it was just forgotten. And then now rediscovered as a barn find, whatever, and I think that's some of the trend to what you're seeing in some of the cars now. When those cars are discovered, whether it's an old car or truck or whatever it is, people are trying to preserve that original patina of the car, maybe make it mechanically sound again, but keep the original freshness of the car, just simply because they're all gone. and it was because of their short lifespan back in the day that that you just don't have them sitting around. Cars nowadays, the newer cars, even though the maintenance, and you do good maintenance on them, I mean, you get 200, 300,000 miles out of some of these newer cars. I don't think that these cars are still, even though you can get the mileage and you keep them maintained, or the maintenance is easier on them, they're still, I think their lifespan is going to, would come to an abrupt end, and then they just get shipped off for recycling. And I think they're built that way nowadays, with all the plastics and electronics, and because all that stuff has a lifespan. And even if you take a new car with its computer and its wiring harness and all of its stuff, and you say, okay, well, this was a limited production car. You put this thing in storage, you put it in a cocoon, and you try everything you can to preserve the car. The materials that these new cars are made from are just gonna only last so long. I mean, plastic body panels, all of this stuff has an age, and it will just eventually fall apart. Yeah, and you'll have a brand new car that you didn't use, and now you can't use it because all the electronics are all gone, out of date, won't function properly, and nobody's reproducing any of it to be able to restore these newer cars. So I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see. I won't be around by the time these current model cars are 50 years old again, but that's what I see. But as far as the maintenance, yeah, the old cars required a lot of maintenance to keep them going, but they had a shorter lifespan. New cars, probably less maintenance, but a longer lifespan for usage, but we can kill the compressor real quick if you want.
Yeah.
Oh, there he goes. Okay, it won't come back on now. You still recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got everything. And that's you're saying for all the new cars, even if they're made like the higher end versus like
all of them. You electronics in general it has a lifespan. Most of these cars, guys will or anybody will put the cars away, and they put a little trickle charger on them to keep the electronics and the computer and everything functioning and alive and whatnot. When was the last time you saw a desktop computer that's 30 years old and it still functions?
Yeah.
Or it can function with current technology because it's already been passed up and it's old stuff now, So, that's, how is that going to affect all of these new cars? If you put them away in 50 years from now, you say, oh, well, my computer already reached its 100,000 hour lifespan. Now I got to have another computer, and nobody's going to have a computer for it. So what are you going to do? Convert everything to electric, I guess. I don't know.
Well, even after
years. All electronics have lifespans. And even if you don't run current through them and they're left in a state of no voltage, there's still a lifespan for the materials that they're made of, the circuit boards, the environment effect on all the materials. How are you gonna, batteries, you buy a cell phone one day, and 6 months later they've already got the new model out, and you've already had to update it 15 times just to keep up with all of the progress and change in the systems. So what are you going to do about a car? How's that going to affect a car? Even new cars, okay, you have your satellite tracking systems, you have all your information systems on your new cars. They sell updates. to keep those cars updated. What happens when, your Windows 7 operating system now won't operate with, the new computer systems? It's going to be the same with your car. What are you going to do? Yeah. So, yeah.
You would say it was less plastic.
The classic cars were simple, basic. Anybody could work on them, maintain them, replace parts. They were built for the consumer to maintain and work on. The new ones are not. It would be no different than if somebody, if my cell phone, went on the blink, and I wouldn't be able to dismantle that phone and go in and fix the circuitry and the boards in it. They're not. Nothing in the newer industry now is really made with that in mind, the consumer maintaining and taking care of. It's all plug and play, throw away. You got 5-minute oil change places. You drive through, they drain it, fill it, out the door you go. I mean, it's like, but that's the way of the world. I mean, everything's that way. Your appliances, your washing machines, your refrigerators, everything, they work for a certain amount of time. You throw them in the recycle, and you get another one. The new latest and greatest. Yeah. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in today, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the like button if you like the videos, and we'll be bringing you a lot more in the future. Thanks a lot.